Annual Investment Meeting 2011. I'm Paul Westendorp of UNCTAD. This morning we will have a presentation on the main findings of the World Investment Report 2010, Investing in a Low Carbon Economy, of which, by the way, hard copies are available at the entrance. This afternoon we will have presentations. Of course, this presentation on the World Investment Report will be followed by a high-level session with policymakers, representatives from the private sector and investment promotion agencies. Then this afternoon we will have investment showcase presentations of Malaysia, that will be at 2 p.m., Kenya at 3 p.m., Morocco at 4 p.m. and Uzbekistan at 5 o'clock. We will start the opening with a statement by the Deputy Secretary General of UNCTAD, Mr. Petko Draganov, followed by a welcoming word of Her Excellency Ms. Sheikha Lubna bint Khalid Al Qasimi. I would like to give the floor now to Mr. Petko Draganov. Thank you.
Madam Minister, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, it is a great pleasure for me to open this high-level session on green foreign direct investment. On behalf of UNCTAD, let me thank the Ministry of Foreign Trade of the United Arab Emirates for inviting and helping us to organize the event. The meeting is part of UNCTAD's work together with the investment promotion community to identify and disseminate best practices for the attraction of environmentally friendly foreign direct investment. It follows other events such as the UNCTAD World Investment Forum of 2010 in Xiamen in China, and the recent seminar on green global value chains held during the Investment Enterprise and Development Commission in Geneva. To exemplify UNCTAD's commitment to the cause, I could also mention the Investment Promotion Awards of 2010, which were given to investment promotion agencies from China, Denmark, and Mauritius for their excellence in the promotion of green investment. Environmental sustainability will be a prominent theme of the UNCTAD World Investment Forum of 2012 to take place in Doha next year, parallel to the 13th session of the UNCTAD Quadrennial Ministerial Conference. Much of UNCTAD's expertise in the area of green foreign direct investment builds on the research and policy analysis undertaken for the World Investment Report of 2010, which we titled Investing in a Low Carbon Economy. And as Paul just told you, you will find out more about this from our colleague Nosha Benabistaji Aschenbrenner. FDI has a key role to play in development. Depending on the local conditions, FDI can generate employment, bring capital, and transfer know-how to host countries. In the light of such potential development benefits, the state of international investment flows should be viewed as a cause for serious concern. So far, global FDI has only started its expansion after the sharp drop during the financial and economic crisis. According to UNCTAD's latest estimates, global FDI inflows rose by a mere 1% last year, from 1.114 billion in 2009 to roughly 1.122 billion in 2010. While industrial production and world trade have nearly returned to pre-crisis levels, global FDI inflows in 2010 are still 25% lower than the pre-crisis level in 2005-2007. And although global FDI outflows rose by 13% in 2010, the current level is 10% below the pre-crisis level of 2005 to 2007. The good news is that in 2010, for the first time, developing and transition economies attracted more than half of global foreign direct investment flows. Last year, FDI into developing economies rose by some 10%, up to 525 billion, according to UNCTAD estimates. Developing and transition economies are also growing in importance as investors. In 2010, their share of global FDI outflows increased to 28% compared to 15% before the crisis. The general increase, however, hides an uneven pattern among regions. While Latin America and developing Asia experienced strong growth in both inward and outward FDI, West Asia and Africa saw declines. Despite the economic crisis and stagnation of global investment flows, green FDI has reached significant levels in recent years. UNCTAD's World Investment Report of 2010 estimates that FDI into three key business areas, renewable energy, recycling, and manufacturing of low-carbon technology products, alone amounted to some 90 billion in 2009. The figures are much higher if one takes into account other industries and transnational corporations' participation through non-equity modes. This is not enough, however. The scale of the challenge posed, above all by climate change, requires a massive financial and technological response. One estimate indicates that some 440 billion of investments are needed per year until 2015 if the 2-degree target referred to in the Copenhagen Accord is to be met. For 2030, the estimates for investments needed to reach this target range even higher, up to 1.2 trillion per year. A number of developing economies, including several countries in West Asia, are now taking a lead in the development of green industries through foreign direct investment. This oil-rich region has a vast potential in low-carbon energy, such as solar and wind power, and as countries here seek to diversify their economies and reduce their dependency on hydrocarbons, many of them look to these renewable energy sources. One positive example is the United Arab Emirates, which has committed great resources to establish itself as an international hub for renewable energy and clean technologies. Green investment does not only contribute to the efforts to mitigate climate change, it can stimulate both social and economic development as well. FDI in areas such as sustainable agriculture and renewable energy can help facilitate the attainment of basic human needs, nutrition, heating and lighting, health services. And those are all contributing to the achievement of the Millennium Development Goals. Many TNCs can play multiple roles of developers, disseminators of clean technologies, as well as financiers of environmentally sustainable investments. A rapidly growing number of countries, both developing and developed, have come to realize the potential of green FDI and are actively targeting investors in environment-friendly business areas. While green FDI offers great opportunities for host economies at all levels of development, countries need a coordinated strategy to attract and benefit from it. Apart from an effective promotion program, such a strategy should encompass both the development of a conducive policy framework and measures to foster linkages between foreign investors and domestic firms. The promotion strategies of developing countries may furthermore need support from international financial institutions and home countries, in particular through outward investment promotion and investment and credit risk guarantees. Since a wide range of national and international stakeholders will have to be involved in the efforts to attract green FDI, finding the right forms of collaboration among them is a key success. Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that this high-level session will contribute to a better understanding of the opportunities and challenges raised by green foreign direct investment. Let me once again congratulate you on the initiative and wish you all an engaging and successful deliberation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Draganov, for that statement. I would now like to invite Her Excellency Ms. Sheikha Lubna bint Khalid Al Qasimi, Minister of Foreign Trade of the United Arab Emirates, for her welcome address. Thank you.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. First of all, before I start, I would like to thank everyone for being here for the whole conference, starting from yesterday, and we appreciate and are grateful to all the contribution that come from everyone. Thank you. And do wish you a very good stay here. Conference is great, but there are a lot of fun places around Dubai as well, so take advantage while you're here. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, very good morning to all of you. It's a great honor for the United Arab Emirates to host this special meeting organized by the United Nations Committee for Trade and Development, UNCTAD, on the sidelines of the 2011 International Investment Conference. We heartily thank all the UNCTAD officials for selecting our country to discuss vital trade and development issues during this particular phase, and we all are aiming to reinforce global economic activities. We would like to welcome all the speakers, participants, guests to the United Arab Emirates and wish you a very pleasant stay in our country. Ladies and gentlemen, the United Arab Emirates and UNCTAD enjoy a very special relationship and share many mutual goals and developments. Several aspects of the Emirates' strategic growth targets and economic plans is in fact touch a number of UNCTAD's objectives. While UNCTAD plays a significant role in helping countries, particularly those that are underdeveloped and developing, merge with the international economy and maintain trade balance with developing and developed countries. For its part, the UAE is also working on supporting various development programs and their implementation for underdeveloped and developing countries. UAE is currently ranks 5th among the developing countries that maintain trade partnership with underdeveloped countries. Foreign aid is also a top priority for the UAE's international commitments. Since the Emirates formation up to 2010, we have turned over more than 163 billion dirhams, equivalent to 44.4 billion US dollars in global financial assistance. Our foreign aid was around 9 billion dirhams in 2009, or approximately 1% of our total national income and highest amongst the world's nations. These covered more than 92 countries all over the globe, with 95% given as unreturnable grants to prevent any economic pressure on the beneficiaries. Around 80% funded developed projects, while the rest was allocated to humanitarian and charitable programs. Since its formation, the UAE has been fully well aware that its understanding of the relationship between trade, environment, and sustainable development is the driving force for its commitment to international pacts that emphasize both development and sustainability. The special impact of the Emiratis' high level of awareness has been the implementation of unprecedented world-class clean environmental projects. Moreover, our country maintains a presence in many international trade meetings, including those organized by UNCTAD, that underline the concept of environmental protection and sustainable growth within the field of commerce and trade. Ladies and gentlemen, the realization of quick growth and reduction of poverty among developing and underdeveloped countries does not rely on improved and well-directed international support mechanism only. These also require a new international structure for these countries, which can be established through new incentives and programs which help sustain development. Group efforts is also a key element in developing production capabilities and increasing goods and services in underdeveloped countries. We need to come together to help expand investment, modernize economic bases, and further develop education and healthcare. This meeting offers an ideal opportunity for development partners to share opinions and ideas on creating the most efficient and advanced mechanism and tools for reinforcing investment in vital sectors that form mutual fields of growth for countries around the world. We should keep in mind, though, that we need to strike a balance between sustainable development and environmental protection to ensure a better life for present and future generations of developing countries and all the nations of the world. We wish you all success and hope that this meeting will have exceptionally positive results. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister, for this welcome word and also the insights on the work done in the UAE in the area of sustainable development. I would now like to give the floor to Ms. Nouza Benebestarji. She is officer in charge of UNCTAD's Investment Capacity Building branch, and she will give a presentation on the findings of the World Investment Report 2010. Thank you.
Your Excellency, Sheikh Lubna bint Khalid Al-Qasimi, Minister of Foreign Trade of the United Arab Emirates, Mr. Petko Draganov, Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to share with you this morning some of the main findings of the World Investment Report 2010. As you know, UNCTAD publishes one of its main flagship publications is the World Investment Report, and each year we focus on a different theme. In 2010, the focus was on low carbon economy. My presentation this morning consists of 3 parts. The first part will be on FDI trends and prospects. The second part will be on investment policy developments. And the third part will be investing in a low-carbon economy. However, the main focus will be on the first part, FDI trends. So let us start with FDI trends and prospects. Where possible, the figures from the World Investment Report 2010 have been complemented with more recent data from the 2 latest issues of UNCTAD's Global Investment Trends and Monitors, which have been published in the months of January and April 2011, this year. Global FDI flows are still some 25% below the pre-crisis level. FDI inflows rose only marginally by approximately 1% in 2010 to $1.1 trillion, following large declines in the years 2008 and 2009. Although this suggests that FDI flows bottomed out in 2010, it is far from a robust recovery. Global FDI flows remain some 25% below the pre-crisis average and nearly 50% below the 2007 peak. Thus, while governments in many countries are already cutting back on public investment, private sector investment in the form of foreign direct investment is only just starting to recover. For the first time, developing and transition economies received more than half of global FDI inflows. The stagnant flows overall mask actually very different regional differences. So allow me to give you some highlights of FDI inflows by regions. FDI flows to developed countries further contracted in 2010 as the global economic and financial crisis continued to be felt. In contrast, flows to developing economies rose by 10% to $525 billion in the year 2010, thanks to a relatively fast economic recovery, the strength of the domestic demand, and burgeoning South-South flows. The value of cross-border mergers and acquisitions into developing economies also doubled, and behind this general increase lie the significant differences among regions. What we can see that inflows to Africa, which peaked in the year 2008, actually continued their downward trends since 2009. For Asia, thanks to its position as a leader of the global economic recovery, FDI flows to South, East, and Southeast Asia have picked up actually markedly, outperforming other developing regions. FDI flows to West Asia, this region, continue to be affected by the global economic crisis despite the steady economic recovery in the region. Sizable increases in government spending by all rich countries helped push their economies forward, but conditions, unfortunately, in the private sector remained subdued. The current turmoil in some countries in the regions are not reflected in the data here we are presenting this morning. What is noticeable is the surge in cross-border mergers and acquisitions, which is actually one of the main factors explaining the significant increase in foreign direct investment flows to Latin America and the Caribbean. So this shows in the data you have in front of you. For transition economies, these countries have registered a marginal increase in FDI inflows in 2010, after falling, like other countries and other regions, FDI felt quite significantly in 2009. In this slide, we can see that developing and transition economies are also increasingly becoming important investors. Outward FDI from these economies and these countries reached record levels in 2010, reaching some $377 billion. These countries actually account for 28% of global foreign direct investment outflows, compared with only about 10 to 15% in the period 2000 to 2005. When we look at the so-called modes of entry, the way investors invest in different economies, we can see that the cross-border mergers and acquisitions, which typically react more quickly to changing economic conditions, actually jumped by 36% in the year 2010. And this is reflecting the growing value of assets on the stock market and the increased financial capability of buyers to carry out such operations. However, when it comes to international greenfield investments, which generally have a longer gestation period and are an indicator of a more healthy FDI recovery, they registered a drop in both value and number in the year 2010. Now, let us look at the prospect, FDI prospect in the year 2011. What we can say is that with the global economic recovery gaining strength, rising stock market valuations, and rebounding corporate profits, UNCTAD expects FDI flows to reach between $1.3 and $1.5 trillion in the year 2011. Ongoing corporate and industrial restructuring and a new wave of privatization in some countries in the wake of the financial crisis are actually creating new investment opportunities for each, particularly for cash-rich companies in developed and also developing countries. Outflows from emerging economies are expected to continue to grow in the year 2011 as the result of the rapid economic growth, abundant financial resources, and strong motives of firms to acquire mineral resources and strategic assets abroad. The overall favorable policy climate for foreign investors, we expect that it will further support the positive prospects of FDI flows. However, there is a word of caution. There is a number of risks to this positive scenario. We expect that worldwide GDP growth after the recovery boost in 2010 might slow down. In addition, we expect some risks related to currency volatility, which we have noticed, in this first part of 2011 and which might persist. Also, there is sovereign debt and investment protectionism, which seems to be rising in some countries. So all these factors might affect, the prospects of FDI recovery in the year 2011. However, also, I would like to stress that this recovery of FDI will depend very much on what will happen in developed economies. As you know, they are the main drivers, as investors. Now, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to focus a little bit on FDI trend in West Asia, your region. What I can say is that despite the steady economic recovery which has been registered by the economies of the region, FDI flows fell actually for the second consecutive year in a row. FDI to West Asia dropped by some 16%, from $68.3 billion in 2009 to an estimated $57.2 billion in the previous year. In 2010, actually. FDI performance among recipient countries in West Asia, again, is different. It's not the same. We're going to look at the year 2009. And we noticed that FDI inflows fell, actually, in all of the region's main recipient countries, except for two countries, Qatar and Lebanon. In the case of Qatar, the country registered 112% increase, mainly in liquefied natural gas, and the inflows to Lebanon increased by 11%, mainly targeting the real estate sector. Among the main recipient countries, the United Arab Emirates, actually there has been a big drop of -71% in terms of FDI, and in Turkey also experienced a drastic fall in FDI inflows by -58%. These two countries were the hardest hit in the region. In the case of Turkey, cross-border mergers and acquisitions sales actually plummeted from $13.2 billion to $2.8 billion. In the United Arab Emirates, the Dubai financial crisis explains, most of why the FDI collapsed. For Saudi Arabia, the country remained the region's largest recipient of foreign direct investment, with total inflows reaching some $36 billion, down a little bit by only 7%. Now, let us look at data for the year 2010. What we can see that, again, there is a varied scenario, but somewhat different picture, of the region. We have sizable increases in government spending by oil-rich countries, which have helped push their economies forward, but conditions in the private sector remained subdued. In terms of FDI inflows, also the picture varied according to country. For example, inflows to the United Arab Emirates have rebounded in the year modestly from the relatively low values of 2009, and FDI inflows to the United Arab Emirates were estimated at some $8 billion in the year 2010. For Lebanon, we have noticed very little change in the performance of FDI. For Saudi Arabia, what we can say is that according to our preliminary estimates for the year 2010, there has been a drop in part to foreign investors pulling out of or freezing some of their investments, their assets. I can give some examples, particularly some large refinery projects which are being on hold, like ConocoPhillips or Dow Chemicals. Now, let me say a few words on FDI outflows from the region. What we notice is that for the year 2009, there has been also a drop in outflows from West Asia, down by 39% compared to the previous year. However, the decline was again uneven among countries. Outflows from the United Arab Emirates actually plummeted from $16 billion to $3 billion due to Dubai financial crisis, downgrading the country's position from largest outward investor in the region to fourth largest. For Kuwait, we can see that outflows remained almost constant, making it the region's largest outward investment in the year 2009, followed by Saudi Arabia, where outward FDI increased significantly from $1.5 billion to some $6.5 billion. FDI outflows from West Asia in general dropped to near zero in 2010. This is due, on one hand, to large-scale divestments by West Asian firms from their enterprises abroad. The largest divestment deals included the $10.5 billion sale by Zain, group of Kuwait, to its African operation, in its African operations to